Good evening, I'm John Carter. Welcome to Poland Daily. The Polish Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Szymon Szymanowski-Welsenk, described the Israeli Foreign Minister, Israel Katz's comments as disgraceful, scandalous and defamatory anti-Polish statements. He also added that they must be reconciled with a reaction from Israeli authorities. There has, however, been no apology from Israel as yet. Katz's statement was criticised by the US ambassador in Poland and the World Jewish Congress.
After the scandalous words of the Israeli Minister of Foreign Affairs that Poles sucked anti-Semitism with their mother's milk, the tension in Polish-Israeli relations continues. The chief of Israeli diplomacy doesn't have any plans to apologize for his words, despite the fact that he is being criticized by Polish politicians from all ranks, but also by politicians and journalists in Israel. Minister Israel Katz was criticized by the World Jewish Congress and the Chief Rabbi of Poland, Michael Szydrych, among others, and also by the US ambassador in Poland, Mrs. Georgette Mosbacher.
Between close allies such as Poland and Israel, there is no space for such offensive comments as yesterday's statement by Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz.
It seems to me the Polish side has already reacted to these words. We cancelled our participation in the Jerusalem V4 meeting. In the absence of Poland, the other countries have also decided not to come. We showed our Israeli colleagues that certain statements are not acceptable to us. Now the ball is in Israel's court.
What they did requires an apology. Now we have a right to expect that the Israeli government will apologize Benjamin Netanyahu and Minister Katz personally. In this situation, the obvious scenario is that we should put our relations on hold until the apology comes.
Yesterday, our chairman Schetyna joined the appeal for an apology from the Israeli side. The matter has gone so far that the apology is a must. We officially support the government because the situation requires it. However, now we expect effective political moves. Those are well-thought-out statements that insult us. It hurts even more because someone comes to visit our country and spits in our face, offends our mothers. I think that it isn't yet open conflict, but our stance is clear and firm and has shown the Israeli side that there is no room for this type of rhetoric and historically falsified statements.
Police officers from Rostock in Germany have arrested a 37-year-old woman from Norway. She was travelling to Poland by bus with her 12-year-old son. Upon reaching the border, it was revealed that the woman was on the run from the Norwegian Child Welfare Service and was planning on asking for asylum in Poland.
As German police officers checked the bus, it turned out that the 37-year-old woman from Norway and her 12-year-old son didn't have the necessary documentation. They were both arrested. The woman wanted to seek political asylum in Poland. The German police officers arrested the woman and child in order for them to explain the situation. After that, they contacted the Norwegian police. The mother and her son were split up. The 12-year-old boy is now in the hands of Jugendamt office in Rostock. He will be transported to the Office for Children's Matters, Barnevernet in Norway.
This isn't the first case where Norwegians are running away from their home country to avoid the Barnevernet office. We know that they're running away to the European countries, the United States, Dubai, although asylum is given in Poland, and that's why this direction is very popular.
During a German-Norwegian consultation, it turned out that the boy was illegally taken from an educational care facility by his mother. The boy has an international wanted notice. The woman will probably be charged with kidnapping her own child.
We're interested in the good of the child, so if I'm getting information that something is happening to the child, my duty is to protect its well-being. We're collecting information. What school does he go to? What's happening with the child? This isn't the Wild West where everyone can do whatever they want.
In August 2017, a Norwegian woman and her 2-year-old daughter ran away to Poland. She also asked for asylum. Earlier, the woman lost her 12-year-old daughter due to a denunciation filed by the girl's father. On Thursday, the Office for Foreigners officially announced that Poland gave Norwegian woman Silje Garmo asylum because of the violation of the human rights in Norway.
Several dozen families run away from Norway every year. They fear Barnevernet. We know that Mr. Kowalski helped over 150 families who decided to stay in Norway for the past 5 years. years, but the majority of Poles know that this is a fight they can't win.
Norway informed about the expulsion of Polish consul Sławomir Kowalski. He's known for criticizing Barna Vernet. The Norwegian spokesman for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs explained that the decision was made because of the consul's inappropriate behavior in regard to public officials.
Today, the Swedish ambassador to Poland was summoned by the Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs in connection with Sweden's refusal to extradite the Stalinist war criminal Stefan Michnik. Michnik sentenced dozens of members of the Polish anti-communist underground to death in show trials during the 1940s and 50s.
The Polish Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, Szymon Szynkowski-Welselk, wrote on Twitter that he will protest to the Swedish ambassador by giving him a diplomatic démarche. Following Sweden's decision to not extradite Stefan Michnik to us, the Stalinist criminal suspected of 30 crimes classified as crimes against humanity, I have summoned the Swedish ambassador to hand him a démarche expressing our opposition to their decision. The Swedish court argued that the crimes Michnik is suspected of in Poland are encompassed by the Swedish Statute of Limitations. Poland says that crimes against humanity don't have a statute of limitations according to international treaties signed by Sweden. Stefan Michnik sentenced a number of members of the Polish anti-communist underground to death and personally participated in some of the executions.
The Brazilian right-wing president, Jair Bolsonaro, has only been in office a little over a month and a half, but the country's cultural elite have become increasingly critical of Brazil's direction under his presidency. The latest example is a recently released movie called Marighella, produced by the country's most famous movie star, Wagner Moura. The movie glorifies a communist terrorist, whilst Moura has slammed Bolsonaro in press conferences for the film. However, Bolsonaro has started firing back at Moura.
The movie glorifying the communist terrorist Carlos Marighella premiered last Friday at a film festival in Berlin. The director, Wagner Moura, argued during the press conference that Brazil under Bolsonaro is drifting towards fascism.
Listen, it's going to be really hard to release this film in Brazil, because we are going to face a strong opposition. It's about narratives. People are already starting to talk about it wasn't the coup d'etat of '64. It was the movement of '64. So there is a semantic change already going on in Brazil, which when you study the history of all the fascist governments in history, they always start with that.
The director continued by accusing Bolsonaro of being a racist and a homophobe.
Of course, people that live in the favelas, you know, black people, black young people that are getting killed daily. We have a president that's openly homophobic and openly racist.
But the president of Brazil is now firing back at Moura in a recently released video where he talks in depth about the past of the terrorist Carlos Marighella.
O diretor Wagner Moura, conhecido por todos, lança um filme sobre a vida de Carlos Marighella. Só que ele, a exemplo do colega do lado de lá, que não mostra os fuzilamentos, os crimes praticados por Che Guevara, por lado de cá, Wagner Moura também não mostra os crimes praticados por Carlos Marighella. E uma coisa que é irrefutável, Carlos Marighella, à época, lançou aqui o mini manual de guerrilha urbana, onde, entre tantas coisas, o que ele considera? Ser violento ou terrorista é uma qualidade que enobrece qualquer pessoa honrada.
It seems as if the dispute between Bolsonaro and Moura is just getting started.
Thank you very much for joining us here this evening at Poland Daily. I'm John Carter. Stay tuned after the break for Poland Daily weather, followed by the business, culture, history and the travel.
Welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tonight. A warm night across the country with temperatures ranging between -1 degree in Kraków to 3 degrees along the Baltic coast. Cloudless skies expected around Poznań, Wrocław and Zielona Góra. And now over to tomorrow. Rainfall across the Poland, but some sun will appear as well. Overcast weather around Lubelszczyzna. The temperature will range from 5 degrees in Lublin to 9 in Zielona Góra. Let's see the forecast for the following 3 days. Thursday will be an overcast day, a maximum 8 degrees in the west and a 4 degrees in the northeast. On Friday, pressure will drop, a maximum 7 degrees in the west and a minimum 0 in the northeast. And on Saturday, alternating sunny and overcast weather across the country, with maximum 10 degrees in the west. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Poland Daily Business Edition. Tonight our guest is Juan Manuel Cotelo. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alexander.
Director and screenwriter of movies, and the recent one is, what is the name in English?
The Greatest Gift.
The Greatest Gift. And what is this Greatest Gift?
It's a beautiful movie about forgiveness. People who ask for forgiveness and people who forgive. End of conflict. All over the world. There are beautiful stories, hopeful stories of reconciliation between people who for years were enemies. They all considered it was impossible, their reconciliation, but it is there. They are now good friends, so it's a full of hope film for anyone.
How did you come up with the idea of the movie?
Well, it wasn't an idea. It was a fact. One day I was in Colombia, in Bogota, having a get-together, so to speak, in a theater with hundreds of people. And at the end, one of these persons, he came to me and said, "My bosses want to talk to you." I said, "Well, who are your bosses?" And he introduced me through the internet to his bosses, who were people who had killed thousands of people. One has killed 500, other 5,000, other 10,000. I asked, "Are them your bosses?" And he said, "Yes." Why do they want to talk to me? And he said, "Because they want to ask for forgiveness, and they would like to do it through you." "Where are your bosses?" And he said, "In prison, in jail." So I went and visited them to the prison, and then I also accompanied them in their visits to their victims, the families of those who they killed. They present in the house and say, "I killed your husband, I killed your son, your daughter, forgive me." And that was so beautiful. The first of the visits, I remember, I entered into a house with the person who killed a 21-year-old, and his mom, when she saw the one who killed her own son, she gave him a big hug and looked into his eyes. She said, "This is your house. I am your mom. You are my son. What do you want to drink?" He was holding a guitar. "Oh, you have a guitar?" "Yes, it's for you. It's a gift, a present." He knew that they play guitar. "Let's take the guitar and sing." They took the guitar, they were singing, they were eating, drinking, laughing, as if nothing happened in the past. So it was so beautiful. And I thought, well, I have to tell this to the whole world, which is the happy ending is not revenge or hate. The happy ending is always love. And one specific way of loving is forgiving.
How many of such meetings you had?
A lot. In 5 days, like 20 meetings, only in Colombia. But then we traveled to Rwanda, where...
Another place when...
Well, in Rwanda they had...
20 years ago, horrible crimes were committed.
800,000 people were killed in 100 days. And I will call Rwanda, I would call it a place named Miracle, because it is a place that today the atmosphere is peace, is happiness, and where you don't find there one person who forgave another one. No, you have thousands of people. It's a huge movement of reconciliation. For instance, I was with a woman who was together with the person who killed her husband and 7 children. She went to jail to visit him for years. With other moms, we come here to give you the love that you need. And when he went out of jail, she bought for him a cow, which is something representative of a new chance in your life, which is having a cow is having a way of living because you will have milk. And so, and you see them together, and I thought, I remember I asked to the translator, I don't know if I have understood properly. Did you tell me that he killed the husband and the 7 children? Yes, and you will say they are friends, brothers, even the husband and wife. So, and again in Spain we have stories of reconciliation, in Mexico, in Ireland, also within the families. They are not only stories of violence or death. No. I have found that there is a territory of war all over the world within families. The place that should be the most secure and safe place in the world, which is a mother womb, now it has become one of the most dangerous places in the world.
And think about abortion and...
Yes, and the traumas that it brings after abortion. We shot a beautiful story of... all the stories of reconciliation at the beginning are not beautiful, are sad. Someone did something wrong to someone else. But they are all beautiful because the end is always a party, a feast, the feast of reconciliation. In Guinea, a young woman, 16-year-old, she was pregnant, and her parents obliged her to abort. She didn't want to, but she obliged them, and she aborted. And they throw, that was in the jungle, I was there, they throw in a basket, in a plastic, the rest of the baby. A big storm began. For 3 days, they were not able to come out of their house. And 3 days later, when they took the bag in order to throw it to the rubbish, the bag moved. And they thought there was an animal inside. When they opened it, it was the placenta moving. So they called the doctor. And the doctor came and said, it's alive. It's alive. But you know what? He or she is going to die. That was in the 4th month of pregnancy. 4th month and 21 days. So they realized, what have we done? What have we done? So they prayed together in order to ask forgiveness from God. Please, God, forgive us our sins. And then they baptized the baby without knowing if it was a boy or a girl. And the name they put to her finally was Miraculous. Well, now Miraculous is 20 years old. She's so beautiful. She speaks 5 languages. And it is the story of reconciliation between the girl and the mom and the grandmom, and between the mom and the grandmom. So this is one of the stories that we have known in many different countries, and they are always a party.
Normally, when we hear stories and when we tell the stories to the media, they have a bad endings because that's what sells. That's what we think is regular, normal. That the people hate each other, the hatred grows and brings the consequences to both sides, only negative. You are bringing a light and you are saying, no, that's not the case, that's not the truth, that's not the norm.
I would say that's not the end. Of course it's true, of course it's happening, of course, but I said to myself, as a journalist or as a storyteller, why don't we do the effort of trying to offer solutions, not just the diagnosis of wrong things? It is so easy to say, you know what, this person has stolen, this one has killed, this one, okay, give me something else, give me hope. So I try to share the stories full of hope, which are real.
If you normally go to prison, you will find out that every single inmate is innocent, full of hatred, full of not only excusing himself, but blaming others on his own deeds. And that's the culture we live in, the culture that we are poor and innocent and the bad world is causing us to do bad things. Again, you are saying that not necessary. We can understand the role we play in our own lives.
What I have learned is that no one is able to judge. One person said to me in prison, "Do you know what is the worst thing that you can tell about anyone?" I said, "No. The worst thing is a bad use of the word to be. No one is an assassin even though he has killed 1,000 people. No one is a liar even though he has told 1,000 lies. You are not defined by your mistakes or by your sins. So who am I if I'm not my defects, my wrongs, my sins? You are loved. If God is love, you are the one who is loved." And the thing is that when you know the story, the real story of each person, you understand many things. I know a person in Colombia who has killed hundreds of people. What is her story? He was 14 years old, and she was together with her sister, 16 years old. And they received this beautiful visit of an elegant person who spoke to them about freedom, justice, liberty, you know. And do you want freedom? Yes, we do. Do you want justice? Yes, we do. Okay, don't worry, we are going to take care of you from now on. You don't have to work, you don't have to pay for the food, we will take care of you. We are going to teach you how to fight against injustice. Oh, fight, I don't like the word fight. We will teach you. And the elder sister, 16 years old, she said, "I don't want to fight." But you have to choose. Are you the friend of the people or the enemy of the people? Well, I'm the friend of the people. Then you have to fight to defend the people. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. The third time she said, "I don't want to fight," the defender of freedom threw to her a glass of acid, and he burned 30% of her body. Then the sister, "What do you want? Do you want to fight or not?" "Yes, I do." They took her, 14 years old, and 20 years later, she has killed a lot of people. For me, it's easy to forgive that person. You know what? What you did is wrong, but who am I to judge you? No?
Juan Manuel Cotelo, the journalist, the director of the movie The Greatest Gift. Thank you very much for being at our show, and that was it for Poland Daily Business tonight.
Welcome back to Poland Daily Weather. Let's take a look at the forecast for tomorrow. Rainfall across the Poland, but some sun will appear as well. Overcast weather around Lubelszczyzna. The temperatures will range from 5 degrees in Lublin to 9 in Zielona Góra. And now over to tomorrow forecast for our continent. In Scandinavia, temperatures will drop. 7 degrees in Oslo, 7 in Stockholm and 1 in Helsinki. Central Eastern Europe will see a lot of sun. Temperatures range from 9 in Berlin to 13 in Vienna. Sunny weather and 15 degrees in Rome, while Athens enjoyed the highest temperature on the continent, 17 degrees. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Hello and welcome again to Poland Daily Culture. Today we'll take you on a very adventurous trip through the Vodka Museum in Warsaw, so stay with us.
The main exhibition of the museum is located in an historic building in the former rectification plant, which is where vodka used to gain its unique and pure flavor. Visitors will discover the local tradition of vodka production and will learn about Polish vodka's international career. Visitors can see a virtual laboratory of a medieval alchemist. They can experience the comforts of living in a manor house and see an actual distillery. They can learn about the role vodka has played in politics, as well as get to know bartenders' tricks of the trade.
So now we're here at the bar at the Museum of Vodka, and this will be my first vodka tasting. Marcin, thank you for giving us the opportunity to guide us through the more practical part of our trip today. So could you explain what this board is that those 3 glasses are on, and what kind of vodka do we have in each glass?
Yes, of course. I think it's the best part of visiting our museum. Here we're gonna be tasting some Polish vodkas. There will be a rye vodka, potato vodka, and a wheat vodka.
Rye, potato, wheat, right?
Yes, exactly. But tasting of vodka is a little bit different from casual drinking. We are familiar with drinking vodka.
Well, I'm not the biggest fan, but yes.
Yes, everybody knows vodka. But the tasting is quite different. Here, we have a special glass called snifter, which is helpful to accumulate aromas, so you can smell our vodka. But try not to put whole nose in the glass, because this is strong alcohol and can kill your sense of smell. Not for long, just for a few
Even
moments.
from a distance.
Yeah, so try to smell more gently. We're not gonna be judging color, because there is no color in vodka. We're gonna be judging taste, our mouthfeel, and aftertaste, finish. We also prepared water for you, but try not to drink water immediately after vodka. Wait at least 4 or 5 seconds, because we want to talk about this mouthfeel and the finish. And the last thing, temperature of vodka you got in glasses is around 18 degrees. Why?
So not too cold.
Yeah, why it's not cold? Because when alcohol is warm, aromas are opening. When alcohol is cold, aromas are closing. So naturally, all tasting should be taken in room temperature.
Should I try?
Okay, you can try. Maybe I'll show you how is the best. First, we can swing out of our glasses to warm fire hidden inside. Then smell it. Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And then hold a few seconds in your mouth, something like this. Why we keep it? Because salivary glands starting to work, and the percentage of alcohol is going down, so it's much easier to drink. Could you tell us what you are feeling about the first sample?
Quite strong in taste.
Yes, exactly.
I feel the warmth going through my
Yeah, lots of people say that vodka goes very deep, warming us from inside, close to the heart.
It's true, that's how I feel.
This is the easiest way to recognize that vodka is made from rye, especially right now, the time of the year.
Yeah, good idea if someone is very cold.
So, in our second glass, we can find potato vodka. It's much smoother, easier to drink. Lots of people say it's more creamy, oil texture. For some people, it's much better for shots, because after a moment, it's just disappearing. It's very intense, but the flavor is much shorter. So after a moment, you have to repeat it here, one by one.
Okay, and now I'll try.
Yeah.
We mix it as well, yeah?
Yes, exactly.
This one I can't smell that well. I think the smell is a bit milder. Strong.
Strong, but I think quite short.
Short, yes.
Right
it does disappear after a while.
We are right now, we have to memorizing what we are drinking before. So this is very good vodka, for instance, for weddings, for shots, for having fun. The first, for me, is much better for mixing, for cocktails and winter times.
And this was potato vodka?
Yes, exactly.
At the end of the tour of the museum, visitors can buy souvenirs, including the best Polish vodkas. All those who enjoy vodka tasting can do so in a stylish restaurant. The visitors, newly equipped with knowledge and skills related to vodka, will surely appreciate the qualities of genuine Polish vodka.
In our third glass, we can find a wheat vodka. This is quite new product because with years in Poland, the most popular vodka was the rye, the first to have tried. Also, potatoes are very popular, but right now we are trying to extend our vodka abroad. So this is a new product from wheat.
How old is it, more or less?
Around 5 years. Here we got two icons that got over 90 years per each. Here it's just a baby on the market.
I like this one.
Yeah?
It's a bit more delicate, I think.
Yes, I agree with you. Here I think the flavors are very rich and full and stays very, very long. Even after a few moments, sometimes even after drinking some water, we can still find some flavors on the tongue. For me, this is very good vodka for slow drinking, for enjoying it neat or with ice. For example, as we like to drink whiskey, for me it's perfectly good for that.
I think the last one is my favorite.
It's my favorite too. I love it. So could you tell me why it's your favorite?
Because it's more delicate than the other two ones. I like the taste better. It's also your favorite?
Yes, it's also my favorite. And usually lots of our guests from abroad, they choose that one.
And why? Do they have the same comment?
It depends on our senses. We are all different, have different tastes, so we can choose different vodkas. This is the beauty of them.
What is the most popular type of vodka consumed in Poland?
In Poland, the most popular vodka is rye vodka. Why? Because for many generations, rye was the basic grain. It was used, for example, for making bread, so naturally we started to produce vodkas. Rye vodka are the specific because they are the strongest, the most intense, and also get that heat in your hair, feel it before your chest.
And abroad?
Abroad, lots of people enjoyed Polish potato vodkas, but they are not easy to find. Right now, the most popular vodka abroad is the wheat type.
And what is this vodka pairing, food pairing thing? Is it quite new, and what is it about?
It's easy to compare wine to food. You can also compare drinks to food, but right now there's a new trend of making food pairing with vodka. Right now it's just the beginning of that road, but already there are a few restaurants in Warsaw you can find vodka compared to your meal. Vodka is also very good as a digestive because it's clear our digestive system, and it's kill all the bacteria and everything we can find in the meal that we don't want it. But also we can drink vodka as aperitif in cocktails because it's a very good start of your meal.
And what food do you think is the best to for drinking vodka with, like herring or tartar, beef tartar?
In Poland, pickled cucumbers is the thing we are eating with vodka for years. Why like this? Because juices from pickled cucumbers also very good for hangover. So if you drink too much, you can easily drink lots of water from pickled cucumbers, and it will be a cure for you.
Or also lemon is good, I think, with vodka.
Yes. Also, you can drink Bloody Mary. You can try some cocktails with fresh fruits. Making a blender, for example, with a banana, something like that. It always helps, but much better is drinking responsibly.
Yes.
And drink it with water, lots of water with drinking alcohol.
And so, for example, if we want to eat fish or meat, do you always try to have a different kind of vodka with meat or with fish and then with, I don't know, vegetables?
Yes, this is very technical stuff. You can find the molecular structures in vodka and compare with your dishes. But it's not an easy thing. It's always better to talk with someone who is good with vodkas.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paulina.
Thank you for watching and join us tomorrow on our new episode. Goodbye.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Poland Daily History. Today we are standing in front of the Potocki family palace to learn more about the Polish aristocracy. They are the most independent and most prosperous branch of the noble class in all of Europe. However, after 1945, following the beginning of the Soviet communist regime, they were heavily persecuted. Today we will dig more into the details and intricacies of the Polish aristocracy.
The Potocki family palace now houses the Polish Ministry of Culture, but Count Marek Potocki was kind enough to invite us to his private apartment where we uncover more about the history of his family and learn how the position of Polish aristocracy shifted over the centuries.
After the Second World War, especially when we're talking about after 1945, the western part of Europe is already liberated, so they see freedom. But meanwhile, on the eastern side of Europe, is still some hardships to overcome. And how did your family look like during that time?
As a rule, families like ours were kicked out from our houses without nothing, only with what we could carry and a little suitcase. So we lost even teaspoons, books, you know, everything, furniture, absolutely everything. And we were not allowed to live, I don't remember, 25 or 30 kilometers close to our previous property. And at that time, my father didn't come from the Second World War, and my mother and 5 children, we lived in an abandoned house near Warsaw. Before the war, belonged to a poor Jewish family, which was killed by the Nazis during the Holocaust. And at a certain time, Prime Minister of Poland, Józef Cyrankiewicz, decided that this part of Konstancin, it's a little town close to Warsaw, will become the government property, and everybody who lived there was asked to leave without, they didn't give us any replacement. They just say, go. So we left. Meanwhile, my father came back from Romania, and we went to Krakow, and we stayed in the old hotel of Krakow, but we had no running water, no heating, what quite important in Poland during the winter time, and it was one hotel room, to which the entrance was via another room which was occupied by another family. So it was harsh. I slept for a number of years on the floor, on a mattress, together with my sisters, my mother and my father. It was very hard for my parents, but for a little boy of 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, it was not very hard because I didn't remember any so-called good times. It was hard with food. It was hard with you know, things to put on, and it lasted until I wanted to go to university. And when I finished the high school in 1955, I was not allowed to, because of my origin, to enter the university. But in '56, there was a mini revolution in Poland called Polish October, which was not as violent as the one which took place in Hungary in 1956. Things changed, and I was allowed to enter university. And I studied law, and when I finished my law faculty with rather good results and good notes, I was given to understand that I better not ask for a job because, you know, so I decided to leave Poland, and then I left Poland in 1961. the times were tough, but we were not shot. A number of people were shot. We were not shot. We were left to live in very difficult conditions, but we were not killed.
Did the family ever recover any of those properties that were taken away during the time, or was it just left to the government?
Nothing on my father's side, nothing, because either it was in the east or it was too big, like Weinzut. As I said, we have certain families' rules, and according to those rules, I'm the ordinate or chief of this branch of the family. So I would be the owner of Weinzut, which is the property of the family in Poland. We were not given back. It's not up to me to say why it happened that way. We recovered something on my mother's side, but nothing on my father's side, no.
Following the end of the Second World War, Poland ended up being occupied by the Communist Soviet Union. Using their vast military forces and Polish puppets, such as Bolesław Bierut, they managed to impose communism in Poland. For aristocratic families such as the Potockis, it meant severe persecution. With the end of Stalinism following the thaw after the Poznan protests in 1956 and the political changes known as Polish October under Władysław Gomułka, things improved slightly for the aristocracy, but the persecution continued up until 1989.
So we're talking about the communist regime, the communist era, and as we all know, they don't take really kindly to noble families due to their class struggle or warfare between classes. And I was wondering how that propaganda or how the communist ideal affected your family.
Maybe I can answer by a personal story. I was 9 or 10 years old in Krakow at school. Primary school, and all of a sudden a little man comes and he tells something, to the ear of the teacher, and the teacher, the woman, trembling, says, "Potocki, I was 10 years old, or maybe 9, stand up." So I stood up, and then the little man said in a loud voice, "Children, look at the child of the enemy of the people," And I must tell you that the class of 25 or 30 boys behaved very nicely, because nobody spat at me, nobody said anything. They hardly understood the word enemy of the people. So after 2 or 3 or 5 minutes of standing up, I sat down, and the story was finished. But it gives you the atmosphere of how we were treated. We were not people, we were the enemy of the people, and I was a child of the enemy of the people, So, as I said earlier, my mother used to say, "Marek, don't ever mention your name. Say your name is Marek, don't ever say your family name." So it's just a short story. This happened in 1949. I was not entirely 10 years old. The story I told you.
Yet they still don't hesitate to wage class warfare upon
But
impressionable children.
I must say that my father and mother suffered much more. A little boy of 9 or 11 or 12, I stood this atmosphere far better than the older generation.
So that atmosphere that you were just describing, did it get any better? Like during the 70s, the 80s, do the views towards the Polish aristocracy see any light of day, or were you still oppressed under the communist regime?
I would lie to you if I said no. It did get better. Right. We stopped being considered as the enemy of the people. It happened mostly after 1956. What the Poles called the Polish October. I was 18 at that time, but still, we were not considered in a friendly way, but we were less considered in an unfriendly way. So we were sort of left in a limbo, you know. Since I had a little funny story at the end of my studies with this man on the drawing, I decided to leave Poland. And since the authorities believed that it's better to get rid of me than to keep me in Poland, they let me have my passport, and I left Poland. And I had my law faculty diploma in my pocket, but I spoke only Polish. I didn't know any other languages. And I left for France when I had family, but I started my professional life as a worker. And since I was physically rather strong, I became, first of all, the meat cutter, you know. Yeah. And later on, a friend of mine told me that if I would go to the Halle de Paris, which was the place where food was bought, not in the detailed way, but in the wholesale way, and I would carry meat, I would earn much more money, and I did. I would earn up to 100 francs per night, which was in 1961, beginning 62, a lot of money, a lot of money. So I was rather pleased with my situation. And then I got a Swiss scholarship to do my doctorate in Geneva. And after 1965, I left Geneva, and I was lucky enough to be accepted to the best business school in Europe, today probably in the world, called INSEAD. I was the first Pole in that school, and I finished that school with a diploma in 1966, and I started to work, earn more money, and then my life became different. And I came back to Poland to about 23 years ago.
The Polish nobles used to form the backbones of Polish society. The Potocki family was one of the most prominent and especially influential within the military. Count Potocki has given us today a very interesting snapshot of Polish history. That's it for today. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. I'll see you next time on Poland Daily History.
Okay, we're back. Poland Daily Travel, and I'm talking to Artur Górniewski. Arthur, I had a question. It just occurred to me. We're standing in the Victoria Hotel, and the square was called Victory Square by the communists. Is there some connection there?
Exactly. There was in here, before World War II, most expensive palace in Polish history, constructed by Kronenberg family, and that family also is responsible for adopting first railway system in Poland. So that level of responsibility and importance we are reaching when it comes to the owners of the palace that was right in here before World War II. It was only damaged during the war, not that much destroyed, and then communist government decides to take it down. So there must be a reason why to take it down.
Yeah, what's the reason?
So the reason is to construct Hotel Victoria next to Victory Square.
Yeah, but couldn't they just make the palace into... If there's a great palace, can they just make that a hotel?
Poland lost many of its pearls not only during the war but also after, because of the decisions of communist government.
So this decision was made obviously just to put down Poles and say, oh, it's a beautiful building, but you don't deserve to have it.
But instead, first luxurious hotel was constructed after World War II in here, which is famous till nowadays. Perfect location. We are right in between the city center, the financial city center with the shopping malls and nice areas to hang out, and then the old town that we already visited. We are just steps away from the Royal Route and next to Marshal Józef Piłsudski Square.
Yeah, and I suppose for the people at the time, for the communists, this was a big show-off thing for them. And they said, hey, we don't need your palace, we can make a better palace.
That will be used by the locals and people from all over the world, as it is still nowadays.
To advertise
exactly
the cosmopolitan nature of Soviet Warsaw?
Well,
would that be?
Well,
you think I'm going too far?
So of course, I was like 2 years old when communism ended, but my grandfather told me like about a lot of things that were happening in here.
Yeah.
So these were 2 generations after World War II, 44 years. This is how much it took to change the system, and Poland was first. 4th of June 1989, this is when communism ended in here. The second country that followed was Hungary, 23rd of October 1989. And then when citizens of Germany, of this little piece of Germany that was dependent on Soviet Russia, heard on the news, on the radio, that the elections are going to take place just as they already did in Hungary or Poland, but they didn't tell the precise date, then citizens of Berlin got mad, went to the wall and destroyed it in a violent way. Then we are having Czechoslovakia, Balkan and Baltic countries, and then Soviet Union falls apart.
Arthur, how is the square different from the way it looked before the war?
When it comes to this area, well, we are having brand new pavements right in here.
Oh, that's a good start.
Yes, and we are having also some more new buildings in this area. So right behind us, we can see a modern structure made of glass mostly, designed by Norman Foster. The building's called Metropolitan. Of course, everyone wants to have Norman Foster structures. How about London and the Gherkin over there? How about Barcelona and the telecommunication tower over there? So how about Warsaw? Yes, we desired to have sculptures of best sculptors, buildings of best architects, but this one is located right in between Marshal Józef Piłsudski Square and the Great Theatre, our national opera.
Which
that's
we see in the distance.
The white building in the distance.
The very background, yeah.
Exactly.
It's the back of the Great Theatre.
So after this very important building, luxurious structure that holds also very demanded brands inside, well, we cannot fully see our national opera since that moment on, which is a reason
because
why
of
our
Mr. Foster.
Well, it's not because
the choice
actually,
of hiring him.
Of course, we are thankful to Mr. Foster, but the thing is that the main restorer of this area lost his job because of this.
Because you can't see the Great Theatre.
Because you can see the Great Theatre anymore, but Warsawians agree that it suits very well into this modern idea and development of our city and our country.
Okay, so that's the Metropolitan building.
Correct.
What about this building over my?
So we are having...
Over my shoulder.
Yeah, we are having
it's
over
hotel,
there
right?
Europejski Hotel.
That's right, yeah.
At the moment, Raffles.
A mainstay. It's a famous hotel in the old days.
Yes, exactly.
100 years or so old.
Well, so it's
older.
1855.
Okay,
when Henryk Marconi designs a structure that's supposed to be a hotel. So that's first Polish, like really big hotel. That's the great history of this place. And it's destroyed during World War II. It's reconstructed pretty quickly in between 1949 1951, representing at the beginning only 3-star category. And that's why it was really modernized, but actually I should say constructed again. Every single brick was taken out from inside, so to construct luxurious 5-star hotel, which we can see right across the street, which makes this combination. We are in a very nice hotel in here, very nice hotel over there across the street. For the Warsawians, for our city, it's 1 + 1 = 11 situation.
Okay, but it also puzzles me again why the Russians, they didn't like this palace that was here, and so they built this hotel on the, they took down the palace and built this hotel on the same site. Why didn't they just use the Europejski?
Oh,
which was not used for a long time, properly anyway.
That's of course.
It was almost derelict.
So the building that was reconstructed over there was a hotel once again, but I would like to point out that the quality of this place was much higher. And the name of this place was Victoria. And the Victoria refers to victory of Soviet army over the Germans during World War II. And this part of propaganda was the most important.
More important than doing up the really old, nice buildings. Anyway, okay. Well, social realism, you know, what can you do? Hey, folks, thanks for staying with us. We've been talking about Piłsudski Square and other things along the royal route in Warsaw, which starts in the Old Town and goes all the way to Wilanów. It is the most famous street in all of this particular country called Poland. Stay with us. Poland Daily Travel. Hey, we do it for you. And Arthur is doing it for you. Let's give Arthur a round of applause.
Well, Will, thank you very much for inviting me and giving me this possibility to tell you and you about the history of this place, the great history of Poland, the history that's like a circle, the history that really is like life, like our lives that are like a circle, because sometimes you are on the top, sometimes you are on the bottom when it comes to so many issues of your life. So it turns out at the very end that it doesn't matter where you are right now, but it does matter how you face the difficult moments. And we Polish people are proud of the way that we faced the difficult moments of our history. So thank you very much.
I couldn't have said it better myself, folks. Impossible. Thanks, Arthur.
Thank you.
See you next time.
See you.
Okay, maybe they'll let us in the hotel.
Let's do it.
Yeah, okay.